All right, Chiefs Kingdom, before we start today's show, I need you to let me know if you are going to join us for our live watch party for the Chiefs and the Jaguars. If you are, the easy way to tell me, like the video. Hit that like button and make sure that you're going to join us for the watch party. We're going to have a fun time. It's going to be just me, you, the chat, talking about the Chiefs, watching the Chiefs. We're going to have some scoreboard up. We're going to have some play-by-play. And all in all, it's just going to be a good time where you can come and watch the game with some fellow Chiefs fans here on the Chiefs Report. And all in all, we're going to party. And you got to fight for your right to party. So like the video and join us on Sunday. All right, we're going to dive into today's show, and we're going to open it up with some mailbag questions. We are going to answer your questions here on today's show and kind of talk about what I think, what your questions mean. There's a lot of questions surrounding the NFL. There's a lot of questions surrounding the Chiefs. So let's start right here. Our first one comes from Shad Jameson, and he says, will CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, be on the roster the entire season? I think yes. As much as I don't want him to be, I think he will, just because Patrick Mahomes likes him. He enjoys having him out there. And the carries he got on Thursday night against the Lions, they kind of spoke for themselves. He had more carries than McKinnon. He was on the field more than McKinnon, it felt like. So it will be interesting to see. I think he will be on the roster. I don't really know if I want him to be on the roster the entire season, but I think he definitely will. Let's go to the second question here from Tony Fuentes. He says, the only thing that's on my mind is when will Kelce come back and play, and which wide receiver will the Chiefs sign that will help us out? Well, the hope is Kelce can play this Sunday, but in terms of which wide receiver we'll sign, that could be a lot of players. We could trade for Mike Evans, but there's not really a lot of signing options out there, I don't think. We kind of talked about it in a past video, but there's a couple of wide receivers that we could target. One being Mike Evans as a trade, and then the other being T. Higgins. He had an 0 for 8 targets, no receptions this last week against the Browns, and the Bengals have stated that they don't know what the future is with him. So I think that could be two wide receivers we could see the Chiefs target. But I don't know. I think once you get Travis Kelce back, the Chiefs may be all right. They may not worry about it, to be quite honest with you. And if TK can come back this upcoming week, Trav plays well, I think that question what wide receiver are we going to get? What wide receiver are we going to trade for? It's going to go out the board if he plays well, and the wide receiver is going to bounce back game. Third question we have is, do you expect a bounce back performance from our wide receivers coming in from RJ Chief? I do. I do expect a bounce back performance from our wide receivers. Now, I've shown the bad stats a lot on this show, but let's show some of the good ones too. Justin Watson, he had 4 targets, 2 receptions for 45 yards. We've already shown Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And then Rashee Rice having the touchdown along with 3 receptions for 21 yards. Those guys performed well. Now, the bad ones, well, that was, first off, Sky Moore. Because Sky, he had 3 targets, and he only had, that's a typo there, 1 reception instead of, actually no receptions, and only 1 drop. So he had 1 drop. That's not good there for Sky Moore. And this stats, it speaks for itself. It wasn't a good time for the entirety of the Chiefs, really wide receiver core. Kadarius Toney only had the 1 reception for 1 yard with 5 targets. Did not perform well. He's kind of the big one that you look at because he cost the Chiefs the game. He did. I'm going to be flat out. He cost the Chiefs the game. Had 1 reception for 1 yard, 3 drops, and he had 5 targets. The 1 drop bounced right into the hands of a Detroit Lions defender who ran it back 50 yards for a pick 6. And then on top of that, you also had the drop that would have gotten the Chiefs into field goal position. That's a, right there, 10-point swing in favor of the Lions rather than the Chiefs. Now, what I have to say about it is this wide receiver room does have talent. I'm dogging on Toney a lot. I'm dogging on Moore a lot. But to be quite honest, they both have talent. And I think that's what makes it so frustrating is that I know and I've seen what they can do, And I just want them to do it on the field with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because I know they can. We've seen it in practice. We've seen it in training camp. Sky Moore looked great. Patrick Mahomes was singing his praises. Patrick Mahomes, Brett Veach, and Andy Reid all are still singing Kadarius Toney's praises. This wide receiver room has the talent. It's just about if they can use that in the actual game, and I hope they can because, man, it really stunk just watching every pass go right through the hands of the receivers. It was a tough time, but overall, I think this room has talent and has the potential to be a really good wide receiver room. Maybe now, maybe in the future. It's there. It's just got to come out. So I got to ask you this question. Will the Chiefs get a better game from their wide receiver room? I don't really know how you go down from there is my thing. If you think they will, then type Y for yes. If you think, no, we're going to stay course, we're not going to have a good game, well, then type in for no. Let me know what you think because it's a tough time. All right, the next question here comes in from Tim Carr. He says, Mike Evans trade likely to happen? I don't think so. I don't think so just because if it was likely to happen, I think there'd be a bigger talk around that. I think it'd be more of a statement piece in terms of reports and rumors, but I'm hearing nothing of trade talks. Even with the whole Chris Jones situation, there was maybe a little bit of talk that Chris Jones was going to get traded, but overall there was small reports on that, and I would have to think that if that something as big as that is happening in the Chiefs' offices, I feel like that would have to come out in some way, somehow. So I don't think it's likely to happen. I think it could happen, but likely, probably not. The next question comes from Joe Fazio. He says, do you think Chris Jones will be with the Chiefs next season? I think it's too early to tell. If I had to guess, I'm going to say yes, just because I can't see Brett Veach. This year it was trying to work an extension and a holdout. Next year it's he works a contract or he leaves. I can't see Brett Veach being, all right, we're going to let you walk. Now, he did that to Orlando Brown. Tyreek has been traded. We've seen Brett Veach make some moves before, but I don't think that's going to happen here with the Chiefs and Chris Jones. It's just not going to be one that I see happening. I think they're going to get a deal done, and who knows, maybe an extension gets done pretty much right after the season's over. We don't really know. I think he'll be in a Chiefs uniform next season if I had to bet on it. The next question here coming in from Kellen Marson saying, can Trent McDuffie be a top 10 cornerback in the NFL? I think he could. He had a really, really good game. Now, I will say he's definitely not going to be top 10 in the NFL now, but definitely in the future, he has the potential to be a top cornerback. He played really well last season, his rookie year. This year, he's also performing well in the first game. 2022 stats looking pretty nice. You get 44 tackles, a forced fumble, 7 pass breakups. I mean, he was playing exactly what he needed to. He also had a sack along with those stats. He looked pretty good. I'm hoping that he can continue that train this year. We've only seen one game, but overall, the cornerback depth chart, it's got a lot of youth. You got Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. L'Jarius Sneed missed a couple tackles on Thursday, which I wasn't too happy with, but he's a guy. He'll get it done. It's not going to be that big a deal. Trent McDuffie, he's a staple piece to the secondary, and this secondary can be good. A lot of people talked about the line on Thursday and how they performed well against the Lions, but nobody really talked about the secondary did pretty well as well. I mean, you had a really good wide receiving core for the Lions with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You had Reynolds in there. That's a good receiving core. Secondary held them in check for all intents and purposes. I liked what they did. I think they can be good, and I hope that Trent McDuffie and the rest of the secondary can continue on their positive streak throughout the season. Make sure you're subscribed to the Chiefs Report for all your Chiefs news and rumors because we got it all in one place. Sometimes you got to go look at Twitter, you got to go look at this, you got to find reports all over the place. Well, with the Chiefs Report, we condense it all into one place. We have it all right here, and we got all the content you need all season long for your Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, and be able to join the Chiefs Report family, and make sure you know exactly what's happening with the Chiefs every single day. All right, our next question comes in from Cole Kellner. He says, do you see any Travis Kelce-like tight ends in the 2024 NFL Draft? There's one. There's one. His name is Brock Bowers. He could be the one. Now, are the Chiefs going to be in a position to draft him? Possibly not, but recent game that just happened about a week ago, well, Texas and Alabama. Texas taking down the Elephants, whatever you want to call them, Roll Tide, Crimson Tide, there you go. And that was a big game for Jatavion Sanders, the tight end from Texas. He looked pretty good as well. So Jatavion's more of a Travis Kelce type in terms of like a little taller, not as big as Kelce, but he could definitely be a guy that I could see coming in here and maybe being that guy to learn from Kelce and perform in the near future. So I think, in short, yeah, I do see a couple. Will the Chiefs get him? I think that's yet to be determined. The next question comes in from Caden is Elite. And he says, do you think the Chiefs will pursue Jonathan Taylor from the Colts? No. No, I don't. I really wish they would in some way just throw out an offer and see what they say. I think that's the biggest thing with Brett Veach is just throw out offers, see what you get back. If it's something you can't take, oh well, you tried, throw it out there. I just don't see Jonathan Taylor having, in terms of money, I don't think that works for the Chiefs because they're not going to come back. They're not going to have the ability to pay him next year. So, in short, no, I don't see that happening in any way. The next question here will come in from Tim Carr. Who will be the biggest impact rookie? I'm going to go with the first rounder. I'm going to go with Felix Anudike-Uzomah. He almost had a safety tackle last week on Thursday. He was in the end zone taking down Jared Goff. Unfortunately, Goff got the pass off in time, but he looked really good. He was flying around the field. I think he has the potential to be a guy that could be a prevalent piece of this defense for years to come. You got him at technically pick 31 in the draft, obviously with the Dolphins losing their first-round pick. But I think he could be a really good guy. I know that there were some questions surrounding him, but he made there. I think he's one that you could really see some potential with him, and you build him up. He could be really elite at really a couple positions. The next question comes in from Course Brad. He says, what type of season do you expect from Chris Jones given his incentives? So let's start by showing off last year's stats, just to kind of get a baseline of what he did. Now, obviously, we're one game gone. It's gone already, but this was 17 games. And he had 44 tackles, 15.5 sacks, and he was in the backfield a lot. He was always there, and I think he has the potential to do that again. But before I give you kind of my argument, I'm going to let you answer first. Will Jones keep up his 2022 numbers in 2023? If you think he'll keep it up, then I want you to type K. If you think it's going to fall off a little bit, then I want you to type F for fall off. Get in the chat, let me know. You think he's going to make sure that those numbers are pretty similar? Type K. If you think, nah, he was not thinking about football too long, it's going to be a fall off for him, type F. The first thing I'll say about this is that no matter if he falls off, keeps up, whatever, him on the field immediately makes an impact. Because with Jones on the field in the past 5 years, the QB pressure percentage was 35%. That's number one in the NFL. QB pressure percentage was 27 when Jones was off the field. That ranks in the lower third of the entire NFL. I expect stone cold Chris Jones. I expect him there. He's going to be the same guy. And the biggest thing, he's playing for money. He's playing for it, which means that he has every incentive to go out there and do his best. Because the first incentive is this. You get your money. That quarterback, that's a money sign to Chris Jones. The second incentive is you're playing for your contract next year. What are you getting paid? How are you going to make the money? Well, Chris Jones has it all right in front of him, and that man, he's going to be a bad, bad man for the entire NFL offense, every one of them, to deal with here. So again, Stone Cold Jones is coming. All right, the next question coming in here from Tony Fuentes says, Jace Andrews, I'm glad you're part of the Chiefs Report, but sometimes I miss Harrison Graham. But I'm glad that you're here in the Chiefs Report, fam. I'm going to be honest with you, Tony. I miss Harrison too, man. I miss him. He's a great guy, but he had a really good opportunity to go out and improve his career, and I'm just happy that I can try and build off what he's done here at the Chiefs Report. And I hope I can just be a little bit of what Harrison was to y'all. And I really appreciate the guy again. A super good person to have. And I'm happy that I'm here too. And hopefully we can have a really good time throughout this entire season here on the Chiefs Report and throughout the entire year. And if you want to have fun with me, well, we're going to be live. So join us on Sunday. I mentioned it. Come join the watch party. We're going to be having a watch party on Sunday again for the Chiefs versus the Jags. Come join us. And the best way that you're going to be able to join us is if you subscribe. Because if you subscribe and turn on notifications, you're going to get an alert exactly 30 minutes before we go live. You'll know exactly what's happening, and you'll be able to join the party as Kansas City travels to Jacksonville, and we'll be live for the entire